Hello everyone and welcome to this very important guide. Today I'm going to show you how to find the best kept secret boss fight in Elden Ring. This is a very difficult mid-game boss that nobody has discovered until now. What you want to do is make your way through Ranni's quest until you make it to this bridge here in Liurnia. When crossing it, you'll be confronted by a godskin noble. You're going to completely ignore this man, and in doing so, you'll hear some faint boss music in the background. Keep riding until eventually... Yes, I am jumping onto a completely new medium, everyone, which is about as big of a plot twist as the quality of this movie. For those of you who've seen the first Puss in Boots, know exactly what I'm talking about. This movie had every prerequisite to fail, but against all odds it completely renewed the excitement for the Shrek franchise. So today, I'm going to go over how Puss in Boots succeeded where it had previously failed. Motive. What is a motive? In short, it is the reason why the film exists. Deriving from the word motivation, which is defined as an energy that moves something forward. We have the motives of our characters, but we also have the point where these motives unify. It is at that point we find the motive of our film. In Puss in Boots, the motive is based on an old English fairy tale of Jack and the Beanstalk, while in The Last Wish, it is based on the Christian tradition encapsulated in the nursery rhyme, Starlight, Star Bright. In other words, the motives of these films are the magical beans and the wishing star. But it is already at this stage that the producers made their very first mistake when making Puss in Boots. And in order to understand why, we must look toward the law of cause and effect. We have the cause of the film, which is the motive. But what is the effect of this? Well, it all comes down to the source material. By basing the film on a well-established fairy tale like Jack and the Beanstalk, you are inadvertently met with expectations, while in The Last Wish, you are met with exploration. It is the very niche of this franchise to rendition old fairy tales, but a reason it works in The Last Wish, and not in Puss in Boots, is because the source material does not impede with the story they want to tell.
Let's go. So here is the plan. You two get the golden eggs, I will fight the giant. There's no giant to fight. The giant's been dead for years. What?
This is an example of a moment in the film where the expectations are not met, and as an audience we are left disappointed. Not because the following sequence is lacking per se, but because we feel like it could have been better. It is at that point that the filmmakers should have realized that these expectations should be more seen as conditions that have to be met for the film to be appeasing. What The Last Wish did very well, on the other hand, is lowering these expectations. The nursery rhyme Starlight, Star Bright is only based on the notion of wishing upon a shooting star, making it so that these conditions are easy to be met. From a writer's perspective, it makes the composition easier to make, as the course of events can't be dictated by the motive of the film. This increases the degree of freedom you have when telling the story, as we can focus on making that story as entertaining as possible, rather than forcing it through a predetermined course of events. It is because of this freedom The Last Wish works so well, as the motive allows the context to be completely original. It is because of the motive that the Dark Forest exists. It is because of the motive the map to it exists. Seeing how these new environments play off our characters are many times more entertaining than knowing the path they're gonna take. Like in Puss in Boots, we figure Puss will have to climb the beanstalk, we figure he'll have to infiltrate the castle in the sky, and we'll figure he'll eventually meet the golden goose. Whether it be through the infamous Shrek franchise or his own interpretations, Puss is always introduced as brave, daring, fast, strong, but above all else, heroic. But what happens when his heroism is put into question? These are the themes that are handled in both films. Despite this, the audience seemed to have liked Puss a lot more in The Last Wish than in Puss in Boots. But why would Puss be more compelling in one story over the other? Well, the best way to say it is through one word: responsibility. When we meet Puss in the first iteration, he is disgraced, outlawed and dishonored. He travels aimlessly in search of his next big score. But upon discovering the biggest heist yet, he learns that his arch nemesis is involved. It is here we really get to see where the source of his disparity comes from. He is a victim of judicial murder at the hand of his arch nemesis, Humpty Dumpty. His involvement in the story is truly the great divider between the films, not only because of his obnoxious personality, but also because he is the source of Puss's insecurity. Before all this, Puss was the local hero, but because Humpty framed him for robbing the bank, he was exiled from his home in St. Ricardo. This influence is at the forefront of the movie. Humpty's manipulation is the reason for Puss's suffering, but this is not entirely true, as Puss's reaction to Humpty's betrayal was in contrast with his otherwise heroic nature. Puss abandoned Humpty, which is not in accordance with heroism. Heroism is defined as putting others first, even at your own peril. This really exemplifies the message of false heroism. Puss has always acted in such a way, and it really only comes ahead when confronted with his own mortality in The Last Wish. Before, he had the opportunity to blame Humpty for the cause of his false heroism. But in The Last Wish, Puss was forced to come to the terms with the fact that he was never capable of heroism in the first place. To be honest, I probably don't have much to say in contrast to the countless other creators that are covering the topic. But honestly, I am just glad to be having the opportunity to absolutely gush about how well executed the villains are from The Last Wish. Surprisingly, a lot of parallels can be drawn between these characters, like Humpty Dumpty being the cause of Puss's anxiety, and well, death being the personification of it.
I just love the smell of fear.
Like the A-tier villains of The Last Wish and the obnoxious, mediocre ones of Puss in Boots are not actually that far apart. I'd go as far as to say that Goldilocks, Jack Horner and Death are renditions of Humpty, Jack and Jill and Mother Goose. Like Humpty, for example, he is that relatable type of villain. One that has the right intentions but executes them badly. I'd like to draw that parallel to Goldilocks, who similarly has the goodness inside of her, but it doesn't emit through her actions before the end of the movie. Jack Horner is similar to Jack and Jill in the sense that they are villainous comedic reliefs.
You looking for something?
Although adamantly, Jack does it in a much better fashion.
I got it, Mr. Horner!
My dad! So that's what they do. Cool. No, not cool.
And finally, we have Mother Goose and Death himself. Both have you asking whether or not they are villains at all. They are just forces of nature taking its course. The motherly instinct to protect your child is just about as inevitable as the sweet embrace of death.
Forget diablos fui a jugar con mi comida?